Did you play this on Sunday after the Panthers win?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, by the way, congratulations, not only to the Panthers winning, but Eddie Pinheiro, NFC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Look at him go.
Hey, when you score all of your team's points in a win, probably deserve it.
He looked like he just won the Super Bowl at the end.
You know what?
You know what? I did think after he kicked that field goal, you could see everyone have like a sigh of relief because they were so worried. Mm-hmm. Everyone was clenching. Everyone.
Well, twice this season, Carolina and Pinheiro, Hecker as the holder, J.J. Jansen as the snapper. Twice this season, they've had to face hit this kick at the very last play of the game, win it, or
lose.
You lose.
Yep.
And they've nailed it both times.
Yep.
They've nailed it both times.
Knock on wood.
You're like, hey, last one was only a 23-yarder, but okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. People still miss 23-yarders, so
that
it's
they
good.
do.
We'll
that
take
they do. Or stuff gets blocked, things like that, or you get a bad snap or something along those lines. Which, by the way, which gets me into my point about the Carolina Panthers and the mindset that they have to have this week in their game against Green Bay. They need to bring that level of desperation that they had on that final drive. That's got to carry over into Sunday. Because I don't want to see this team with a young quarterback and a couple of good young pieces. Now, I think there's a lot of this roster that's not going to be here in the next 2 years. That's a different conversation. You and I have had that one before.
Yep.
But I want to see this team have that desperation of getting that next win again. Like, hey, you know what? This win felt really good. I don't want them just to sit back, take a breath, put their feet up, like, whew, feels good, doesn't it, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Let's just get through this weekend. Let's have Christmas, and then we get 2 more weeks, and we'll call it a day.
No, keep the momentum going.
Well, but it's having that mindset of being that desperate team, because the 3 teams that the Carolina Panthers have coming up the rest of the season, they're home against Green Bay, they're at Jacksonville the week after, and they close things out at home against Tampa Bay. All 3 of those teams that the Carolina Panthers are facing are in playoff desperation mode.
They are.
Because Green Bay fighting for a playoff spot. The Jaguars are in a 3-way tie for the top of their division. So they're not only fighting to maybe win a division, have a home playoff game, there's potential that they might not even make the playoffs. Desperation there. Same thing with Tampa Bay. They're tied with New Orleans and just 1 game ahead of the Falcons right now for the top of the NFC South. But they're also in the hunt for a wild card spot too.
And them being a rival on top of that adds a whole nother level.
There's a whole different level when it comes to it. So there are 3 teams that the Panthers are playing that are in a playoff desperation mode and are essentially in playoff mode right now moving forward. Carolina, for their young roster, you have to have that, especially for Bryce Young as a young quarterback. He has to have that mindset. The team has to have that mindset. Yes, you got to win. You earned that win on Sunday. The way that they handled that final drive and the way that team really did rally together when they easily could have just been like, you know what, the season's exhausting. I'm exhausting. I'm tired. I'm over it. Let's just get home. It's pouring down rain. I'm done with it. But no, they rallied together and did that. They got to carry that over into this next week, because I want to see Bryce Young and some of these other young guys who are going to be on this team in the future moving forward play with that style of mentality. Have that mentality going into this game against Green Bay, against Jacksonville, against Tampa Bay. Treat them like playoff games. Like, hey, that team's desperate for a win. You should have that other opponent say, you know what? We need a match. Or if you're Carolina, I should say, make your opponent match your desperation.
We need to be the Lions versus the Packers from last season for the next 3 weeks. We want to ruin everyone's party, if not for our own self to win, but also let's not help Chicago get better either.
Well, that's a different conversation in terms of that. But I think of it the mindset of, you know what? We've been losing so much, and that feeling of a win feels so good. I want to chase and get it again. I want to chase it and get it again. I want to chase it and get it again. Have that desperation to go out there and get it and force Green Bay to match yours. Don't match their desperation. Make them match yours. Force Jacksonville to match your desperation for a win, not the other way around. Force Tampa Bay to match your desperation to close out the year on a strong note. Make them match you, not the other way around. It's a mentality of you dictating. We always talk about here from coaches like, oh, we want to dictate the line of scrimmage. We want to dictate the tempo of the game. Dictate the mentality and your approach to the game. Have the mindset of, we're going to control what we can control, which is that desperation, and force the other team to adapt to us as opposed to the other way around. Because if you have the mindset of, well, we want to match their desperation, now you're chasing the game mentally already. Because now you're chasing the other team, because now you feel like their desperation, their level of compete is already ahead of yours. Make them match you. That's what I want to see from this Carolina Panthers team this Sunday and for the rest of the season. Now, you may not win, but that mentality is something that you can control. We understand that this roster is not very good. We understand that this season is not going well. Obviously, the head coaching change and all that kind of stuff. But those are things that you can control. Make the other team match your intensity. Because, again, you had nothing to lose. And sometimes those are the hardest teams to play in sports, the ones that have nothing to lose. But I want them to maybe approach it, hey, you know what? We're playing 3 teams that are in playoff mode. Let's have that playoff mentality. Let's have a gotta have it, gotta win this one. That's what I want to see from this Panthers team. Something else I would love to see, something tangible from this Panthers team. I don't know if you know this, Victoria. Sunday, the game against the Atlanta Falcons was the first time this season that the defense has actually forced 2 turnovers in the same game. First time all season. First time all season. I've been very much this whole year saying this is a Panthers defense that is good, but not great.
Yeah, they have not been great this year.
They're a good defense, but they're not great. Because to me, I don't think they generate enough big plays. They haven't really done that much this season. But they did it on Sunday, and guess what? Those 2 turnovers led to points both times, including the game-winning field goal by Eddie Pinheiro, our reigning NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. But that's also part of the mindset as well. I want to see the mindset of desperation from the defense. Like, you know what? When we make tackles, let's try and punch the ball out. When I get to the quarterback, don't just go for the quarterback. Get the football. Let's maybe take a risk and get that interception as well. Like, have that. I mean, that's saying you play out of what you're instructed to do from your coaches and out of the system, but have that desperation of, you know what? Maybe we can set up our offense for a short field. Like, because Carolina really hasn't done that much this season. Like, when's the last time you saw off a turnover, Carolina, hey, you know what? You're in plus territory at your opponent's 36 off of a turnover.
Yeah.
Like, it really hasn't happened much this season as well. The offense has had to churn out these long drives all season. Part of that's their own doing because they can't get really any explosive plays. But maybe defense, set up your offense. Hey, you know what? We force a turnover. Like, for example, Carolina defensively has 1 strip sack this entire season. 1 strip sack. For those who don't know what a strip sack is, it's when you sack the quarterback and you force a fumble on the same play. You strip the ball from him. That was on the 3rd play of the game in week 1 against Atlanta. Brian Burns sacked Desmond Ridder, forced a fumble, but Ridder did recover the fumble. That's the only time this entire season that's happened. I want to see more of that. Like, I want to see Brian Burns strip sack Jordan Love on Sunday and Derek Brown hop on the football. And before you know it, it's Panthers ball at the 23-yard line going in and get a touchdown off of that and play with the lead. I want to see them have that level of desperation.